Okay, and advanced pricing. So we're going to go to the edit menu, go to preferences, and then we're going to click on sales and customers. This is going to be in a different area, sales and customers, and then company preferences. And I'm going to have a couple of options here. See, now we have a new menu called custom pricing, and we can either do no custom pricing, which basically disables price levels and advanced pricing. We can enable price levels, which is basically the traditional price level options we've always had in QuickBooks Premier and Enterprise. And then we can enable advanced pricing. Okay, and this is asking you a question about how to round. It says, do you want to do a default rounding to the near cent for every price, or do you want to, basically default round to the near dollar, or we can just set up the rounding rule ourselves. I like to just have flexibility of setting up my rounding rules, so I'll just click on set rounding rules and then I'll hit OK. All right, so let me go into an invoice here. And you know what? Let me go ahead and disable the other stuff here because it's going to take me forever to go through the lots and the barcodes and all that stuff. So let me disable lots and disable barcodes. There you go. So I'm disabling all that. That way I can just focus on advanced pricing. Okay, so advanced pricing. I'm going to create an invoice now. I'm going to pick a customer, and then I'm going to pick an item. Okay, and notice that my price for this item is $25. Okay, so that gives you a starting point. There's my invoice, there's my item, there's $25. I'm going to go ahead and hit clear here, and then I'm going to set up some pricing rules to tell you how all this stuff behaves. So let me go into the list menu and go to price rule list. And I'll go ahead and create a new price rule here. So I'm going to go to new, and then I'm going to call this December special. And I'm going to say, these are my rules. If my item happens to be within these choices, so only, let's say only these here. So only this group of items here. So only these bath vanity fixtures. If it happens to be from this group of items, and I'll create a new rule. And also preferred vendor, also from any of this particular preferred vendor. And also my customer is going to be customer name, and I'll pick the specific customers that could essentially get that price. So there's Kern. I hit OK. Actually, I'll remove the preferred vendor one to avoid any confusion. So we had the specific item list, and we had a specific group of customers, and then we'll make this only for the month of December. We're going to make this 10% lower than the base price, and then I'll do rounding to the nearest cent, and then I'll hit OK. Okay, so again, the rules are it must be only this customer and only these items and only within these dates to give me 10%. So I'll hit OK. And then I'm going to go back into my invoice. So I'm going to pick not that customer. I'll pick this top one here. And then I'll pick one of my items. And notice my price is still $25. Now, let me pick now one of these customers that can get that price. And then I'll select the product. And notice that the price is $22.50. And now I get this little icon that has a Z in it. If I click on that, it tells me which price rule was applied. See that? So we applied 10% off it. Okay, you take this a little bit further here. I'm going to hit clear, and then I'm going to go into my price rule, and then I'm going to say that only a certain sales rep can give that price. So I'm going to add a new rule. Okay, and then I'm going to say the sales rep can only be MK. So only MK selling those items to that customer can give them, let's say, 25% discount. And I'll hit OK. And I'll hit escape. So I will do the same thing. I'll select the customer, I'll select the item, okay? And then my sales rep is MK, that gets the price. If my sales rep happened to be somebody else, then it goes back into my price of $25. But as long as that condition of that sales rep applies, notice that the price goes down, and I can click on that Z button and then see exactly which ones are being applied. Now I'm going to show you something else. I'm going to go into my price rules. I'm going to create a different set of rules now. And I'm going to call it best deal. Okay, you can really call these rules whatever you want. Okay, and we'll also make this for the entire month of December. And I can say if it's a sales rep, let's say VK, who's the person that can do the best possible deal, I'm going to have a specific price override, and then I'm actually going to tell it what possible price they can sell the minimum for each of these products here. So I'm actually coming in here and I'm overriding the price based on this rule. So notice I'm going item by item and giving it a price. So I'm going to hit OK. Okay, and just on the price override, notice that you have the cost there as a guide to make sure that you don't go below cost or whatever, but you still have to manually set those custom prices. And I'll hit OK, and then I'll hit OK, and then I'll go ahead and close this and pick any customer now, because there's no customer dependent now. And then I'll change the rep here to a different one, JG, just to show you. And I'll pick any item here. So I'll pick this one. This was now $25. But when I change the rep, notice that I'm no longer using the other rule for the other customer. When I use the rep here and I choose VK, what's the VK that could do it? Let me do this again. So I'll pick any customer. I'll pick the item code, and I'll pick the rep VK, and there it is. There's my price for $12. Notice that that's now being applied there. Now I'm going to create a rule that could potentially conflict with the other one. So let me go back into, let me just clear this, go back into my price rules. This is a real powerful piece, right? Let me go into my December special and say that the sales reps that can get in this case, the sales reps that can get that deal is going to be VK, right? So I'm basically creating two sets of rules that apply to the same sales rep, okay? So I'm going to hit OK, and then I'll pick this customer that has two rules, and then I'll pick on VK, and then I'll pick an item. And then notice that I have now conflicting price rules. Notice that I don't have a Z anymore. Now I have this exclamation mark. And then it says, look, there's a whole bunch of rules that would apply. Now you got to tell me which one to use. So if I pick best deal, or if I pick 25% off, and basically, or I pick the Q4 special, basically you're going to see all these conflicted rules. So you're going to have the choice now to pick and choose which one is best fit for this client, and you can even combine them. See that? So I can actually combine two rules or just use one by itself. And you could even prohibit these rules. I'm going to hit clear, and this will be the last part that I'll show. I'm going to click on price rules, and I can say, look, this December special or this best deal is going to be an exclusive rule. That means I cannot combine it with anything else. So I'm going to hit OK and then show you how that behaves. So I'll pick the customer again. I'll pick the item. Okay. That has, and I'll pick here VK. Okay. And I'll click here the Z button. And notice that if I try to combine them, see, it tells me that there's a conflict, right? So I can't, it won't let me, it'll let me combine these two, but it will not let me combine best deal with something else because the conflict is this is an exclusive rule. Okay, so there's a lot of power in pricing. One of the deficiencies that QuickBooks has is that any user can still go in there and choose whatever price they want. So no matter what, you can go in there and choose a price. That's fine. However, it's just for in terms of training your staff or training the salespeople to pick a price rule is probably going to be the best choice in terms of selling all your items at the right price, but you still have the power to override whatever price you want. Okay, I think I covered it all. Let me just make sure I answer all the questions before we wrap this up. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of questions here. Somebody says, can you do quantity discounts? Yeah, I don't think price rules allow it. I mean, I don't think I ever been able to achieve quantity discounts with price rules. Let me see here real quick. I don't think I can. It was one of the ideas to be able to do quantity discounts on these, but let me see if the items, yeah, we don't have really a choice to do quantity discounts here. So no, we can't, there's no capacity to do quantity discounts with price levels.